I got a little ahead of myself in the work and forgot to do a recording of the opening of the hole that I did through the Tele pocket into the neck pickup and ran it down a little bit deeper into the near the pocket for the bridge. So anyway, I've gotten that installed and the neck back on. Now I had a problem with this pickup. These Neovin pickups are almost twice as tall as standard pickups. The neck cavity is 3/4 of an inch deep, and the pickup from top to bottom, from top of the case to the bottom of the magnet, is 1 inch. So there's a 1/4 of an inch difference, which means that I didn't have a lot of adjustment. The pickup screws that came for here were countersink type that would go into a pick guard, and of course not gold. The gold screws that I bought, that I will use for the pickup on the control panel, they were a little bit too short to be able to get the bottom adjustment that I needed to bring this thing down so that it wouldn't be, right up touching the strings and give me some level of adjustment height. So I went and got some brass machine screws for there, and for the ones in the bridge pickup. These are 1 inch long screws. I can't find gold screws to match, so brass will do. And so they've been mounted. The bridge is in temporarily with a couple of fishing lines on here again to check for general alignment and height adjustment of the bridge and the neck pickups to see how much play I have. And I've started wiring up the switch. I built the control panel a day ago, and now I'm hooking up the wires from the bridge and neck. So this is the neck. I've got it marked with a little tape neck. I've just got that one all soldered in. The neck wires are going to be next. It's quite long. Seeing as how it's closer to the control pocket, I'm thinking of cutting it down a little bit to reduce the amount of wire in this control cavity. The green one has to go up there, come around, and then the grounds have to go on the volume pot. And these red and white have to be just soldered and sort of kept together, which would be center taps, which won't be used as center taps. So I'm pondering how to get that over there without too much wire in, and find a way to hold that in place so it isn't going to be too flimsy once it's soldered and try to pull the control panel in and out. I'm going to wire the jack outputs directly from L2 and L3 where the capacitor goes, twist them, run them underneath, and then run them out the hole with a little bit of extra beyond the outside of the guitar there to be able to solder the jack on, and then put my machined jack cup in from the outside and be able to screw that in. Once I do that, I'm going to test the switching and tap on the bridges to make sure that I'm getting some sound from each of them in the sequence that's supposed to be. The wiring I've gone with is this one, where it's supposed to be neck, then the 2 in series, then the 2 in parallel, and then finally just the bridge in position 4. So we'll see if that works before we go any further. Well, I got a little involved in the work when I was wiring up the bridge and neck pickups to the control panel, and I just kept going and going and going until I realized that I had done more work than I had recorded. And this morning we've done cleanup of the guitar. It's looking more and more like a guitar. We've got the front all installed. Control panels in. I've got adjustment height availability on the pickups. I've checked the neck, it's straight. My tool came in the mail yesterday. Headstock is acceptably reasonable. So now we're at the point where, oh, and I've tested the switch positions, neck, series, parallel, and bridge with my amp, and each position is working like I think it should. I get neck only, I get bridge only, and then I've got both and both. And this one sounds a bit louder on the series one than the rest of it. So with the old tap test, knobs went on nicely on there. So now all we got to do is put some strings on it. I did a little work also on the nut. It was seemingly a little high for the strings, doing the check at the 3rd fret. It may still be slightly high, and I'm going to check with tension on proper strings and not just my 40-pound test fishing line that I used for alignment and checking. And if I have to bring it down a little bit more, I can. Seems the sandpaper trick works pretty good. And since I don't have nut files, what I decided to do was I took my sandpaper and I just bent it over a feeler gauge to get the neck slot position in there, and made myself a MacGyver for those of you that know what MacGyver is, tool to be able to do that. Alright, so it's all cleaned up and ready for the strings, and then I'll have to set the radius at the bridge and do the setup on the strings. We'll see how that goes. Well, I'm back again, and at this point I've strung the guitar, tuned the guitar, played the guitar, and I have to say I'm so pleased how well it plays and sounds. Came up with a little bit of a problem. Overall, the neck is very straight. The frets are all a good up to 11. Pretty much no problem up this way at all. Now I like a low action on my strings. I like to play a lot of stuff up here above 12, and I like the strings to be able to be just touchy to get them down. So the standard spec is 5/64. All the strings off the neck here, where it meets the neck, and at 5/64 it plays perfectly. I actually had it down to 3/64 where I like it, and I ended up with some fret problems that I'll show you where I've marked it. It's currently at 4/64, which plays much better than 5/64. And at 5/64, I'm really, I should say 4/64, I'm really only having a problem here with this fret buzzing on me when I'm up here in the 15, 17. So with my very expensive razor blade leveling tool, I found that, let's zoom her back out, the other way, zoom the other way. Okay, so I've marked it with the black marker where it's a little bit high up on this fret, shadow. So black marker over here. This section down here is okay. Now the next fret has a small rock there. The other one pretty much all along 17 is a problem. Top of this fret here, top as I play it, there, and middle of this one at 9, and over, well, not 9 I should say, whatever that is, 12, 13, 14, and on 12 here, and 11 back are okay. So I've got a little bit of touch-ups to bring those down, crown them off, and repolish them up, and hopefully that's going to get me back down to 3/64. And I have corrected the nut. It was a problem. I don't know if I mentioned this in another segment, but I have corrected that. I've got that down now to 0.019 to a spec of 0.018 over the first fret, and I can't remember what that one is there, but it's good at the low E as well. And we glued that back in, and it seems to be okie dokie. So I've got my tools ready: paper, autosol, metal files, diamond files, fretboard protectors, steel wool, rocker checker, and an assortment of sandpapers for polishing and de-scratching and the like. So I don't have any specific crowning tools, so it's going to be all hand done based on tutorial I have acquired by watching an assortment of YouTubers who have different perspectives on how to go about this. And I've taken it all in, the free education. Again, thank you. And we're going to give this a shot off camera. I'm in the middle of working on the frets. I just wanted to take a moment to stop and show where I'm at. I've already worked on the 12th fret, and what I did there was I scarfed it down, but I haven't beveled or polished it up yet. There was one here that I was just able to put a tap on. I think that that it's good now, and there's some other black marks here that I really haven't addressed yet. I'm not sure that they're really going to be a problem after doing the other ones, but I'm going to recheck them again after. And so now I'm at 18, and 18 was mostly up here in this section, and I'm just finished with the 1500. It's shining up, and I'm going to go to the 2000 before I go to the autosol. I did 17 and polished it all the way to the autosol, and came up really nice. And after seeing how nice it was, I'm going to end up polishing autosol all the rest of them as well before I finish and get the strings back on. Okay, I've taken care of all the fret problems between 12 and 20, and now they're all evened out. I don't know if the camera can catch it, but I've polished and autosoled all of them right up here to the 12th fret, and then here from 11 on they're somewhat dullish, different than like shiny black in the light. They're so gleaming compared to down here they look like silverish. And wipe the finger a little bit. These are so smooth, and I can feel a little bit of friction on the other ones below. So now all I have to do is basically, I guess, finish polishing them all up. I'm going to check them again and polish them all up. There was a couple of really small little high points here that were so small I was able to just get them off with starting with a 320 sandpaper and then working my way up to 6 to 8, 1500, 2000, and then autosol, finish polishing them off. So far I'm satisfied. Hot diggity damn, I didn't know frets could look that nice. Ooh. Very pleased with this result. I'm going to get the stringers back on, and hopefully I'll be able to get down to 3/64 setup height, and she won't buzz on me. Well, the high frets that I had are now fixed and polished and crowned, all by hand using sandpapers alone, and that worked out very well. The action is now back down to 3/64, where I like it. Look how low that is. No buzzing anywhere on the fretboard, and there's just the slightest truss rod underbow for relief that makes it almost a flat fretboard. Just amazing, and the sound is absolutely wonderful, way better than I expected. And still extremely pleased. The frets are absolutely gleaming, as you can tell from the light reflection here. And the nut, as I mentioned before, has been taken down with 0.001 tolerance left on the positive side. So this is what I'm calling a success. In this particular case, I created my own custom logo that is Mike's Tele, custom built. Boom. I didn't want it too big. A string tree that needs to go in here still is in transit, but should be here in a few more days next week. I'm not getting any sitar problem off of the B and E strings, but just for the hell of it, I'm going to put one in there anyway and get them all at the same angle coming down across the headstock. The B and the E are a little bit high, and a string tree right up in here will bring these down. Oops. Bring these down to the same angle as the rest of them and do the trickster. This actually plays better than my American built Stratocaster. And now that I have had the experience of doing this one myself and gleaning all of the education that I got from many YouTubers that have contributed to all the little bits and pieces of information that I ended up using, I am going to do some work on my Stratocaster to improve it